Greetings, I am the Jedwado, and today we're doing a commentary of Beetlejuice, starring Michael Keaton, directed by Tim Burton. In 3, 2, 1. Now, as you may know, I have actually done a commentary of this movie before, and I don't. There's a lot of issues with that video. Well, commentary. Mainly that. What's the word? Oh yeah, because I was watching the film on Netflix and not on Blu-ray, which I do have the Blu-ray now. I've had it for about a couple of months. Since I was watching Netflix, I absolutely stopped the film a few times, and it really bothered me. But I do like doing these commentaries. I feel like it's good content, considering I haven't got much else on the channel. I know that Blu-ray collection video did quite well, considering all things. That's good. I really like this opening sequence. The music's a bit manic for like... And you think about it, nothing's really happening. It's just looking through the town. But I really do love this opening theme. It's very good. I do really like all of Tim Burton's movies, especially the scores as well, because Danny Elfman usually does all of it, and it's just, they're really good. And they've all got that sense that they could all be in the same universe, kinda, like they all fit together. Some of them are grounded more in reality, considering Beetlejuice is one of them films that it kind of works as in an actual story. I mean, compared to Batman or, whatever. Spider. Yeah, this is one of his first films. I think this was his second or third film, I don't know. He'd only directed Pee-wee's Big Adventure before this. I just don't like the general soundtrack of this film. Like, I don't know what era of music it is, but it's just really nice. This is Harry Belafonte. He also did Shake Shake Sonora, I think, or Deo. I don't know. Point is, it's just really good. Gina Davis was also in the movie The Fly from the 80s, also starring Jeff Goldblum as The Fly. That is a weird movie, look it up. See, what you gotta realise, this character Jane is like the cause of the whole film. If you think about it, if Jane hadn't just sold the house off like a month after they die, they wouldn't have had to get involved with Beetlejuice. Another weird thing that I brought up in the previous commentary, which is not available anymore because I do not like it, God damn, what was I about to say? Oh yeah, the timeline of this movie is actually really, really confusing because they'll say like 8 months, 7 months, a year. So this film could take place over about 2 years or so. There we have an implication that she had a miscarriage. She's the most annoying character ever, honestly. So Alec Baldwin says this is probably his worst performance, but I really like it. I think it works. It's about the only one that I can stand him in either. He's actually quite likeable as this character. Whereas we all know how likeable Alec Baldwin is. See? Implication. It's a very well shot movie. It's quite colourful if you think about it. Like everything really pops out. He owns that store. I really like the relationship between them two. It's weird. You kind of don't think about how grim that death is. Like, they drowned to death in a car. I like that shot. Yeah, another thing, I really don't like Beetlejuice the musical. It really, really bothers me. I don't like how they portray Beetlejuice because he is the antagonist of the film. Like, in the original script, he was literally a rapist. So, yeah, trying to make him a likable character isn't really fun. iconic book. Yeah, another interesting thing is the character of Otho in this movie was originally going to be a cult leader in the cartoon. That's very. I'm not going to say it doesn't work too well because it kind of does. I love the violins and stuff, all the strings of this movie. I just really love them. They're so iconic. Oh. And here we have him himself, Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton. Yeah, it's interesting. Beetlejuice himself isn't really in this film a lot. Like, at all. Like, at all. Like, he's only in about 10 minutes of the film. This film is like 1 hour and 32 minutes long, and he's only in about 10 minutes of it. I think if they filmed all these scenes in like 2 days or something. Maybe this is heaven. Yeah, I've never really. It's like this movie probably takes place. Like, it's probably one of the longest movies in terms of timeline, like, ever. Because you really can't tell how long all of it takes. That's a good line, I think. We're dead, there isn't very much to worry about anymore. Oh. I have. I love this bit. Just. A lot of effects in this movie, really. I really love Charles. He's such a likable character, honestly. He's just like, he embraces everything about the country. He's just like, oh, good country heart. Oh, I love it. Les D crap. Lydia, right. As Lydia, probably the most, besides Beetlejuice himself, probably the most iconic part of it. I just love him. Yeah, this dude is going to be a cult leader. Love it. What the hell was that? Yeah, that's Catherine O'Hara from this. She was also in a series of unfortunate events, the movie, and she was also in Home Alone 1 and 2, otherwise known as Home Alone The Only Good Ones. I hate these people. I like that shot. I don't know why. Oh. I like how increasingly grim this movie gets, just like all the stuff they try. Yep. I love this bit. Just this insanity of it. Yes. This dude was also in Ferris Bueller. Yeah, the thing I don't like about the musical is that they don't focus on Adam and Barbara, who are like the main parts of the story. I think this is meant to be Saturn or something. I do really like all the weird sculptures in the background as well. Huh. The sandworm. If you notice there, she's wearing a glove as a hat. Well, headband. Look, it's just gloves. Dark room. I love Charles. He's the only likeable Deets apart from Lydia. Fucking Delia's such a bitch. Like this shot as well. Yeah, the musical doesn't really focus on Adam and Barbara. It's more about Lydia and Beetlejuice. Which, if you notice, like I said earlier, Beetlejuice is only in 10 minutes of the movie, which is what makes him such a good character, because he's not overexposed. It's kind of like the shark from Jaws. It's only scary when you don't see it. Just like Beetlejuice is only a good character when you don't see him. I kind of like how unstable the camera is here. It kind of adds to the tension of the scene. Just again, he's just so peaceful. It's just another reason why I don't like Americans. They're just so much like this. And now, I myself am strange and unusual. I like all the instruments used in this. Won't. They're not family, they don't even like you. Wow. So if you think about it, that's just like 2 times the insult, because not only did they, goddammit, they were redecorating, but also the Deets are gonna. It's just, I find that funny. The fact that she's such a bad designer that nobody likes how she does it. I also like how they explain why there's fog at the bottom of the stairs. I also love how tubby Beetlejuice is. He's just fat. They're down to the charm. It's always interesting to me what that green rod was. Draw a door. Fantastic scene. Why do they have chalk? Like, just... Who has chalk? Aha! Knock 3 times. I just really love the sound design in this movie. Like, it's just... Everything has such a goddamn surreal feel. I think, to a certain extent, I think this and Edward Scissorhands, it's got to be the most Tim Burton-iest movie that Tim Burton has Tim Burtoned. Because it's just, especially when you go into the Land of the Dead, it's just so goddamn weird. Then again, Batman Returns is also quite a friggin' weird movie. So this is just such an unnecessary scene. But it's in there and I love it. I'm relaxing in here. I love all the unneeded lights and stuff. Like, it just helps so much, but it's so unnecessary. I want someone to try and cosplay as her. Although you'd probably need to have 2 people. Just like dress the top half in camouflage and bottom half in camouflage. Or just walk around in a couch. You don't have an appointment, do you? That's how all these other dead people are like extremely painted and different coloured. I love this piano. I would call it Lydia's theme personally, just because we hear it quite often with her. It's such a peaceful thing. It's so disturbing at the same time. Yeah, I've had a pretty good relationship with this movie. I like it. It's definitely one of my favourite films. I know the character of Beetlejuice. I do tend to dress up as him time to time. I've done Halloween as him twice. I do own the black and white suit. Also, if you notice, Adam's overshirt, the black and white, is kind of like it's kind of like a little taste of what we'll get later. I believe it to be anyway. Shrunken Ed. Notice how the legs and top, you know. So I mean, so she slit her wrist, but she's blue. I notice how they refer to the legs and top as, God damn it, as they. So the legs and the body are two separate people. Apparently. I love that sound. I really like the look of this place, and we don't get to see it a lot. It's crazy that they built this whole set just for this one shot. I love this room. So that's exorcism. So that says that that's real. Like, so many things from this movie just become iconic. So 3 months have gone by. So we can assume that it's been 4 to 5 months. Hmm. Notice how her neck is kind of looking detached. I think she got her head cut off. Because look, there's smoke coming from it. I'd like to see a kind of prequel about this movie. Well, not another movie, but maybe just a comic series or something. I don't know, a book about what happened before. Yeah, she's got her neck cut open. Interesting. Never noticed that before. Useful. I kind of hate and love this giant bug. No, so he's got like 4 watches on. I've seen that in real life. Planet Hollywood in Florida. They had the Zagnut thing. I've seen the Zagnut thing. What a dick. Oh, I love this movie. Honestly. Death Shrouds. The hell is she watching? I like how naturally they're moving. Yeah, what I was saying, I really like how smoothly they move along. Like, it's very unnatural. How they don't bob up and down as if they're walking. Like that there. Probably the most overused quote from this movie. I love the subtle organ in the background. It's so atmospheric. I friggin' love this movie. Problem is, there's not much to talk about. That's the thing. I want to know more about this photo of Bigfoot, to be honest. Very interesting. I kind of love this movie. Honest. Go on, Barbara, say it. Beetlejuice. I love this set. I just need to say that I love this goddamn set. I really do love how manic this score is, though. You dig. This movie looks great, honestly. Yeah, this is. If you think about it, this is like the main like part where we see Beetlejuice. Like this section is where he isn't the longest. Yeah. So Beetlejuice could be around 600 years old. Scary. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you think of this? I want to see that face. Like, I want to know what it is. His age has never been officially confirmed, and it could be an approximation of his age, which would make his birth at the time of the movie somewhere around mid 1300 AD if he died in his 30s. Though there is no attempt to hide the fact that Beetlejuice was not meant to be a nice character, even the heroes who summoned him knew that he was pretty much a demon. Despite his malicious nature, Beetlejuice also acted as a benefactor to the sorts to the heroes. He was still used as a force of relative good, as his chaos was largely directed at a group of human antagonists, although he was still rude, obnoxious and hostile towards the heroes as well. He shows an interest in Lydia during most of the movie, and at nearly the end of the movie, he tries to force her into marrying him to fulfill a contract. He almost succeeds until he's stopped by Adam and Barbara, as well as the sandworm. Ooh, here's some pre-Beetlejuice, like pre-movie history here. According to Beetlejuice, he attended Juilliard, is a graduate of Harvard Business School, travelled quite extensively, lived through the Black Plague, blah blah blah, everything he says. Parts of his qualifications including attending Juilliard, graduating from Harvard, and extensive travel are all real-life accomplishments. This and other lines were improvised during filming, and it is possible that the character of Beetlejuice was lying about certain elements of his past for comedic effect with the Maitlands. What is known for certain per Juno's warning to the Maitlands is that Beetlejuice was once Juno's assistant, which implies he committed suicide in life since working for her counts as being a civil servant. This explanation of his suicide by hanging was left out of the film. Ooh! So Beetlejuice hung himself. But he was a troublemaker. He went out on his own freelance, bioexorcist, claiming he could get rid of living and got into more trouble. Also, ironically, he's Living Buster, a ghost who exterminates the living by scaring them away. In early drafts of the script, Beetlejuice was supposed to assume a variety of forms, with his true form being that of a winged demon. The filthy pale man wearing black and white stripes was originally going to be one of his many forms, he assumed. Instead of being stuck in a waiting room, Beetlejuice was going to be destroyed at first. Andromeda and siblings were all going to speak. What? I hate when people add garbage to pages. Beetlejuice name is often spelled phonetically as Beetlejuice, as in the title. However, during the film, his name is spelled Betelgeuse, as in the star of Orion, Beetlejuice. During his ad on TV and everywhere in the grave scene, there has been a great debate of whether the spelling of his name is correct. Some say that his name is the same as the introduction. This is proof that they meant Beetlejuice, while others claim that it was an error due to the credits of the film, his name Beetlejuice. Nowhere during the film is his name spelt Beetlejuice unless you watched with subtitles on, in which it is said from Lydia's interpretation from playing charades with him. Yes, there is spelling of Beetlejuice in the film, the beginning credits of the film, Beetlejuice. The Maitlands used astrological spelling after several mispronunciations. Otho, are you doing this? Are you doing this? And I drew rum. Daylight come, only one go home. Some also argue that he may not have been permitted to write his name the way it should, much like he can't say his own name. However, it is just as likely that he cannot misspell his own name any more than a mispronunciation of it can summon him, a condition which compounds him his curse, since his name is not spelled phonetically. It is also worth noting there are hints of greater meaning in several of the names of the movie. Since Beetlejuice means the hand of Orion, and Beetlejuice's former master was named Juno, a character clearly named after the queen of the Roman gods, protector and special counsel of the state. Ooh, that's interesting. His powers and abilities include reality warping, invulnerability, levitation/flight, regeneration, shape-shifting, teleportation, can conjure/summon objects, possession, mimic people's voices, ventriloquism, and telekinesis. In the animated series, Beetlejuice was depicted as being more heroic, though he'd still be a bit dishonest and selfish sometimes. The Netherworld generally considers him an unwelcome pest. He is often referred to BJ as short. A recurring gag has him using figures of speech and idioms, and then changing himself and/or his surroundings to match the pun. If he says something bug him, he'll turn into an insect. Ugh. His relationship with Lydia is more like him being a crazy uncle and friend to her. Now we get to trivia. Beetlejuice had his own attraction at the Universal Studios theme park called Beetlejuice's Rock and Roll Graveyard Revue. The attraction was eventually shut down but has been recently revived. It was permanently closed in early 2016. There was also some skits where Beetlejuice met the Ghostbusters, most of which had him possess the boys in grey and humiliate them by singing songs such as Ain't No Mountain High Enough and I'm Too Sexy. Some of these skits ended with the Ghostbusters busting Beetlejuice. Originally it was going to be mentioned that Beetlejuice committed suicide when he hung himself over a woman when he was drunk, and that he botched the job and ended up suffocating painfully instead of a quick snap neck. There's not much time for it. It's implied that he was involved as there was a severed finger with a ring in his pocket. He remarks, "I'm telling you, honey, she meant nothing to me, nothing at all." We understand that those who commit suicide are civil servants in the afterlife. In an earlier draft, we hear Beetlejuice committed suicide over losing a woman he loved, and he was a civil servant, Juno's assistant, until he caused trouble and was exiled into a model town in one of the graves to scale the scale with his powers greatly reduced. His signature black and white pinstripe suit is meant to resemble a 2-bit salesman wardrobe and to represent that he is a prisoner. Ooh. The scene where Beetlejuice terrorizes the Maitlands as a snake was originally going to have him look more like a natural snake. A stop-motion model of the head was constructed before the decision to make his head look more Keaton-like. Kenner made an action figure line based on the movie. It featured Adam, Otho, Harry the Haunted Hunter, and several different versions of Beetlejuice. Most of the figures of the first wave featured a swappable head and minifigure of Beetlejuice in the guise of some small creature like a snake or beetle. However, throughout the line is referred to the phonetic Beetlejuice spelling. Beetlejuice had figures on him from the movie in his groom outfit, his carousel outfit, his spiked form, and he also had 2 non-canonical figures, and an exploding one with an inner beetle body wearing a blur and yellow version of his wedding suit, and one in a life jacket where snakes could pop out of his head. Well, that was interesting. Now we're going to go into the animated version of Beetlejuice. The animated version of Beetlejuice is quite different from his live-action film counterpart. Among the first notable changes is the spelling of his name from Beetlejuice to the title name of Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice differs from his film counterpart as he is more of an anti-hero but still retains much of his dishonest ways. Actually, this is the least of his problems according to Lydia. He hasn't changed since the day he met her, as made obvious by how filthy he tends to get and prefers to be, and how annoyed he gets with the fact that he has the same problem he did in the film. When he wants to leave the Netherworld, he can only enter the outer world partially, unless someone calls him by saying Beetlejuice 3 times. Also, you don't have to say it quickly or really in a row, proved by the fact that Adam interrupts Barbara when she is saying Beetlejuice 3 times. Unfortunately for him, sending him back is done in the same fashion. He really likes to eat bugs, especially beetles, which may be why his name is Beetlejuice. It might make more sense if his name is Beetleblood. His favourite activities include pulling pranks and scamming people. Though as the series go on, we learn that most of his frequent prank victims, his neighbours and Lydia's parents, are individuals of whom he's secretly rather fond of. He rarely pranks Lydia herself. He cares for her above any other person, and will often go to great lengths to ensure her safety, well-being and happiness. This contrasts with Beetlejuice's intentions with Lydia in the movie, in which he forces Lydia to marry him as a condition for agreeing to help the Maitlands in their non-exercised, non-decaying forms. Oh, that is interesting, isn't it? Because at the end of the film, they're actually being exercised. Oh, I've never noticed that before. It's a very good detail. Once again, I just love the sound effects. What's interesting, there was going to be a second movie called Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian that never got made, and the plot is so goddamn descriptive. Do you want to hear it? Well, you don't have a choice. The Dietz family moves into a Hawaiian resort. Oh, the Dietz family moves to Hawaii to help develop a resort. Construction begins, and it's quickly discovered that the hotel will be sitting on top of an ancient burial ground. Beetlejuice comes in to save the day. Fantastic. Pantes. Very subtle version of the theme there. Sandworms are a type of creature that live on Saturn. So yeah, it is Saturn. They are minor antagonists of the film. When Adam and Barbara died, they returned to the house. Adam decided to walk back out the door, but the outside began changing to a dark night in a sandy location. Adam heard a strange roaring noise and saw a coal sticking out the sand, but Barbara pulled him back inside. Barbara walked out the door and fell down into the sand, quickly becoming lost. When she and Adam found each other, the growling noise became audible, and the sandworm popped out to eat them. Barbara hit them, causing them to shake their head for a moment, but they moved as if to eat them again. Adam and Barbara quickly went back for a door, closing it for safety. In the second appearance, Beetlejuice had sent Barbara back to the realm of sandworms. Appearing visibly furious, Barbara rode the sandworm back into the house, causing the sandworm to crash through the ceiling and swallow Beetlejuice. Then Barbara jumped off and it crashed through the floor. Trivia is, there are real sandworms in the world, but they are nothing like the movie and cartoon counterparts. The sandworms are based on different ones from the 1984 movie Dune. Barbara riding the sandworm is probably another nod to the traditional sandworm riding in Dune. I love that. I love the glasses thing. You know about Juno? Ooh. She is seen smoking and smoke emitting from her neck, which suggested tracheotomy. However, the Censor laws and Nevilles stipulate that those whose deaths are classed as suicides get assigned as civil servants. It was determined Juno's cause of death was actually slit her own throat. Personally wise but quick-tempered. Trivia: she didn't appear in BJ's animated series, not a single episode of it. Right then. Love it. Oh my god. Jane's full name is Jane Butterfield. Ooh. Jane Butterfield's occupation is realtor and annoying pest. She's actually cousin to Barbara and cousin-in-law to Adam, which I did not know. When the Maitlands died, she gave no consideration to their last request, and, without considering their tastes, immediately sold the house to the Dietzes. In a deleted scene, Jane tried to call the Dietzes to sell the house, possibly for a bigger client, but Dietzes, living peacefully with Maitland's ghost, flatly stated they're keeping the house and they'll never sell it, leaving Jane upset. History. Any advice in that area, have them call me. Right then. Trivia. It is unknown whether or not she appeared in the animated series. A tombstone with her name can be seen in the first scene of the musical. I want to be dead too. Nose. It's interesting. How did they physically do that effect of, just, full out, just putting, that massive prop back in. Now for Otho, I hate this man. Otho is friends with Delia Dietz and has a background in interior design, is skilled in chemistry, and served briefly as a hair analyst. And also knows a little in paranormal matters and was a top paranormal researcher until the bottom dropped out back in the 70s. Otho's personality is classic borderline narcissism. Otho presents himself to be more successful than he actually is, often referring to past career failures as success and experience. Though he seems to genuinely believe this despite the obvious, he seems to depend on the limelight for his own ego. Otho can commonly be seen pandering to those of higher status than himself to gain approval and boost his own status, such as when he compliments the artwork of his employer, which is clearly grotesque. Despite the arrogant facade, Otho is clearly insecure and uses the facade as a defense mechanism. We see this whenever real danger is present. Otho loses the facade when he shows his true colours as a coward. When Beetlejuice alters Otho's outfit into a summer suit, Otho is clearly mortified at the embarrassment, therefore runs away screaming. Otho mentions to Delia that he was schooled in chemistry and was a hair analyst briefly. After his stint with the Living Theatre, Otho is one of New York City's leading paranormal researchers until the bottom dropped out in 1972. Otho never appeared in the animated series. Yeah, if you think about it, they're being exercised right now. And they're falling apart. I don't know how I feel about them shots of their heads coming up through. It's really weird looking. Also, does her face look like the most Tim Burton thing ever, or what? Like, genuinely, I think there's something about the way she looks right now that is just so Tim Burton. Like, it's the way the eyes swell up. It's like Jack Skellington, really. It's like I say, this is probably the most Tim Burton-y movie. One choice left. This violin right here. That right there is iconic. And this whole scene right here is just perfect. Notice the little Jack Skellington head and the bat wings. Both references to Batman and what would become Nightmare Before Christmas. Not to mention the little cradle on top of his head is kind of a reference to the Penguin in Batman Returns. What happens to them? That's my question. They just disappear. Kids. Shall we? These sculptures are so disturbing, like, honestly. Yeah, I don't like how Adam looks, really. I don't think he looks enough like Barbara. Because I like how Barbara keeps her hair, yet she just becomes increasingly more Burtonish. They don't look as good in their half-deceased state. I love the hat. That is a great stop motion shot right there, though. Of it stretching. Yeah, this was his second movie. But he was also writing Batman when he did this. So that's probably why he had the bat eyes, the bat symbol on his costume just then. Oh, yep. There's possibly the woman he hung himself over. There's the sandworm. Notice how the minister's just like, bruh. He just still stood there. So the question is, are they alive or like not? Still, you can still see the minister kinda. Hmm. Yeah, there's some about the original script. So it was far less comedic and much darker, and the Maitland's car crash was depicted graphically, with Barbara's arm being crushed and the couple screaming for help as they slowly drown in the river. A reference to this is remained as Barbara remarks that her arm feels cold upon returning home as a ghost. Instead of possessing the Dietz and forcing them to dance during dinner, the Maitlands caused a vine-patterned carpet to come to life and attack the Dietzes by tangling them to their chairs. The character of Beetlejuice was a winged demon who took the form as a short Middle Eastern man, also intent on killing the Dietzes rather than scaring them, and wanted sex from Lydia instead of wanting to marry her. In this version of the script, Beetlejuice only needs to be exhumed from his grave to be summoned, after which he is free to wreak havoc. He cannot be summoned or controlled by saying his name 3 times and wanders the world freely, and appearing to torment different characters and different manifestations. There was also a second Dietz child, a 9-year-old Kathy, the only person able to see the Maitlands and subject to Beetlejuice's homicidal wrath in the film's climax, during which he mutilates her while in the form of a rabid squirrel before revealing his true form. In another version of the script, the film was concluded with the Maitlands, Dietzes, and Otho conducting an exorcism ritual that destroys Beetlejuice, and the Maitlands transforming into versions of themselves and moving into Adam's model of their home, which they refurbished to look like their house before the Dietzes moved in. Walking a line, dropping a line. The first draft by a different writer included characteristics of the original Beetlejuice, but turned him down to make more of a troublesome pervert rather than blatantly murderous. Beetlejuice's true form was that of a Middle Eastern man, and much of his dialogue was written in African American vernacular English. This version concluded with the Dietzes returning to New York and leaving Lydia in care of the Maitlands, who, with Lydia's help, transformed the exterior of the home into a stereotypical haunted house, while returning the interior to its previous state. It would also have featured deleted scenes such as the real estate agent Jane trying to convince the Dietzes to allow her to sell the house for them, having sold it to them in the first place, Charles and Delia decline, and a revelation on how Beetlejuice had died centuries earlier, that he attempted to hang himself while drunk, only to mess it up and slowly choke him to death, rather than quickly by snapping his neck, and wound up working for Juno before striking out as his own freelance bioexorcist. McDowell, the writer, was impressed at how many people made the connection between the film's title and the star Beetlejuice. He added that the writers and producers had received a suggestion that the sequel be named Sanderleak 69202 after the former star of SN 1987A. Well, I'm much happier with this version than my last one. I'm very happy before it came out. Oh, we got a whole 3 minutes left. You guys are up for some extra facts this time, with this amazing music in the background. So, this is about the possible sequel. In 1990, Burton hired Jonathan Gems to write a sequel titled Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. Tim thought it would be funny to match the surfing backdrop beach movie with some sort of German expressionism because they were totally wrong together. The story followed the Dietz family moving into Hawaii, where Charles is developing a resort. They soon discover that the company is building on the burial ground of an ancient Hawaiian kahana. The spirit comes back from the afterlife to cause trouble, and Beetlejuice becomes a hero by winning the surf contest with magic. Keaton and Ryder agreed to do the film on one condition that Burton directed, but both he and Keaton became distracted with Batman Returns. Beaton was still interested in Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian in the early 1991, and impressed with Daniel Walter's work on Heathers. Burton approached him for a rewrite, however he eventually signed Waters to write the script for Batman Returns. In 1996, Kevin Smith rewrote the script. Though Smith turned down the offer in favour of Superman Lives, Smith later joked that his response was, "Didn't we say all we needed to say in the first place?" Gems released a statement saying that the Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian script is owned by the Geffen Company and will likely never get made. You really couldn't do it now anyway. Winona is too old for the role, and the only way they could make it would be totally recast it. In September 2011, Warner Bros. Hired Seth Smith, who collaborated with Burton on Dark Shadows and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, to write and produce a sequel to Beetlejuice. Graham Smith signed on with the intention of doing a story that is worthy of us actually doing this for real, something that is not just about cashing in and is not forcing a remake or reboot down someone's throat. He was also adamant that Keaton would return and that Warner Brothers would not recast his role. Burton and Keaton have never officially signed on, but if the script is good enough, they will. Well then. Ooh. In April 2019, Warner Brothers stated that the sequel had been shelved. So, who knows? Maybe we could get it. Thank you for listening to my Beetlejuice commentary. This will be all. It is finished. Yeah, goodbye. Thanks for listening, losers.